So now we're going through some troubleshooting. First one is Ed controls the far leg. Some of this we've covered. I want to cover one thing we haven't covered so far. So maybe he goes 2-on-1 for that leg, for example. So we talked about pummeling, so I can use my hand to block. I can kick away with my inside leg to help me pummel. So I can pummel my foot inside once his hand is stretched. I can sometimes even step on the armpit to get behind the armpit here and pummel that leg well. Okay. If I don't circle over, like if he's holding that leg, I don't really want to try to circle over the top. This exposes too much. Okay, so I really want to win this pummel first before I start thinking about chopping to backside 50-50. But another option is to go underneath towards X guard. So we covered how to shoot that underneath and come under towards X guard. There is one way that Ed might do this, which makes this very difficult. Okay, so he might stand tall. Let me just turn it a little bit. He might stand tall, hold my far leg, both hands, and he puts his feet together. So, block, yeah, good. There we go. Okay, so now, look, there's no way I'm going to get to X guard here. How can I hook that leg? Okay, when he was stepping out, you go back, okay, yeah, I can shoot underneath and I can get here. But when he puts his feet together, I can't do that, right? So usually here, what I do is I reach my right hand to the top of the knee, left hand towards the far knee, hooked like this, okay? So I actually end up wanting to control both legs. So I've gone from my torsion sort of grip, back of the knee, and here, okay? From here, I'm going to pummel still with my right leg. So I want to get my right leg inside still, even if it's just to here. And I want to shoot my legs up and over, but bring my hips up high, okay? Like so. Come back up. So I really want to do this above the knee line, okay? There's no point chopping here. Here actually I can give Ed like a crab right entry. His knees are free, he can start to attack me. So I want to make sure when I shoot up that I capture his knee line, okay? And I chop across behind like a 50-50, but it's with both legs, okay? But here I can start to attack the heel, right? So I've got K-guard, Ed stands with his feet together, blocks the leg, I change to here and here, I pummel inside, bring my leg high, I want to get my hips above the line of his knee, and chop behind his leg. Okay, get back. Try and stand. If he tries to keep his base, he probably can if I do this, but when I bring my hips up and chop behind, I'm going to take him over. Obviously when we knock them down, we've got great access to attack a heel hook. So I've got K-guard, Ed steps together, I grip the leg, come underneath, I pummel my leg in, come up nice and high, bring my hips up, and circle through, and then look to catch the heel from there. Alright, what do we do if Ed pushes both feet away like this? This is bad, he's starting to get towards north-south. So first off, don't let that happen. So if he's up tall like this and both my legs are up, this is quite easy for him to just bring his hip. Like his hip coming forward like that is making my K-guard, the near leg, quite hard to hold. Okay, so it's easy for him to push that off. Okay, so if he's tall like that, my other leg's going to be low. I'm much more likely to be shooting underneath towards an X-guard than trying to battle for upper body control. His upper body's too far away. Okay, so just keep your leg back. And it's going to be much harder now for Ed if he wants to control both legs and clear them. I can be using like this kind of push-pull. One's always coming back and kicking, like so, and one's retracting so that he can never control both. Okay, but if he does do that, he's usually looking to go knee on belly. Okay, I want to keep my legs tight and use his momentum to throw his weight forward with, we'll call it the slam dunk. Okay, so look, I'm doing a slam dunk with my arms. Okay, so Ed pushes me forward and take him forward as I sit up. Okay, I just use that momentum, throw the leg down and get up on my hand. Once I'm up on my hand, I can't be pushed back down because I've got this front. Okay, once more. I'll obviously pummel, don't extend both legs at once, but if he does manage to push them both off, throw forward and get up on your arm. And you can actually often get a sweep from here, or at least recover or go back towards backside 50-50. If Ed tries to push the near leg, the K-guard leg off, I obviously don't want that to happen. Drop in a little bit more because usually people are kind of pressuring him when they do this. Okay, so first off, use your secondary leg, like my right leg, to try and get under that armpit. Now it's very hard for him to re-control my leg. If I just retract my knee, I can circle back into the hip. Okay, and now it's harder for him to get at because I've got my right leg in position. Okay. Now, if he totally commits to that, then it means, look at this space he's giving me here. He's really going to give me the back of his knee. If he really wants to get rid of that, I can often just chop over the back and start going towards backside 50-50, or even to crab right if you want to start attacking the back more. Okay. While he's clearing that, often it's just like retract down and come back up. It seems to be like sliding back up the line of the thigh. It's hard for him to push off, as opposed to like leaving it out in the open here. By using your your leg behind the armpit to pummel your leg back as well. And as he's over-committing like he has now, he's giving me this knee. Okay. I can chop behind and catch that knee. Okay. If you go back, if he's not dropping that knee, and he's more up here, it's probably going to be a lot easier for me to deal with this. So he's trying to push the foot off here. I can just be using and constantly pummeling here. Right? It's very hard to keep it going. It's very hard for him to win control of that for any serious amount of time. And obviously, while I'm doing that, I'm trying to chop or come underneath to get my attack going. So Ed might try to turn and run when you get to K-guard. Okay, so here I need to be ready to close this gap between my hands and my chest as quick as possible. Right, so I also will probably put my foot underneath or over the top. I'm going to do something with my right leg. It's not going to be floating. Okay, so if Ed goes to turn and run here, I can drop that down. If I can jam that knee down, I've now got a chance to shoot over the top towards here, or again, if he goes to turn and run, I shoot my foot underneath. I can often turn him towards the hands towards the mat in the X guard. Okay, so just be ready for that. If we go back, I'm ready as I enter. That a lot of people will turn and run, and if I leave this gap, go kick, free. Yep, I'll lose. Okay, so I don't want to leave that gap. Okay, as he goes to run, I want to drop that down, pull the hands down towards the chest tightly, and there's a long way for him to slide all the way to at least to the foot here, where I can continue to attack. If Ed does drop, more like some people drop backwards, drop to your hip, and start to scoot away. If you do lose the leg, like this, often I push the foot to the inside, and we go back to our berimbolo. Okay? So like once you're at a point where you no longer feel like you're going to be able to drag the leg in, I can't even overhook, then I start trying to push the foot between my legs. I keep my hook, and I can start swinging my leg over to attack. Sometimes people will underhook your leg and try to lift your leg up, like so. Okay, I don't want that to happen. So, because he can start to pass, obviously, if he does that. So, if we go back, I want to keep my knee down and underneath. Okay, this should be way too hard to get under. Right, go for it now. Even if he gets under the leg, which is difficult, my knee is jammed under his thigh. Okay, you can see, like, with my knee being under the thigh here, as he tries to lift up, it's blocked. Okay, there's no way it's going to go through. If my knee's open like this, much more easy to pick that up. Okay, so we're here, he goes to lift, and I just jam my knee further through, and that will solve that issue. If he does get under the the leg, then I want to have my right foot under the armpit, so like we've been doing. I use it as a knee shield to push his shoulder and take my knee back away. Okay, so go hold the leg. I move my hips out and I drop. Okay, once more. So he's got my knee here on my thigh. Move my hips away. Even just to here, now I've got access to step through and open this space again. Okay, so I'm kind of like peeling this space open. He's underhooked my leg. I'm going to start to open his arm out, shoot through, and clear that space so my knee can go back underneath and he can't get under the leg again. I can continue to attack. Ed reaches under my leg from standing, often just by stepping on his torso. If he tries to lift up, he's just pulling my foot into his body. Even just by kicking, if I kick my leg straight, it will strip his grip. Okay, so like that, strips the grip. I'm back on the hip. If Ed goes to leg drag me, it's not too big of a deal because I have my foot able to kick away, right? But I still want to get my leg back, and it's hard to get that leg back while I'm side on like this, okay? So I'm going to kick, but I need to spin towards north-south. Then I can pummel this leg back. Here, you're going to hold on to that, and that's going to be an issue, okay? Obviously, without the K-guard leg, this would be really bad. But with my foot in the stomach, I'm safe. I want to spin this way, and then I can start pummeling off that arm, start to come back, and get good position. Okay, so again, head goes to leg drag. First off, he shouldn't be able to actually, just by keeping my knee tight, right? And I'm pummeling, right? He tries to leg drag, my knee's close to my chest, he can't pull that away. It's only if I've done something like extend it that he can actually do that. Turn, kick and pull, fight that grip off, pummel under the armpit, come back, and attack. Alright. Ed sometimes might underhook this leg, okay? It's almost like a duck under, like he's trying to duck under past the other side, or sometimes he even if he gets that, don't let him reach this hand through, reach your right hand, left hand here. Through here, this can be bad because it can open my leg up and he passes around this way. So, okay, so just be wary if he ducks under this leg that you keep your inside leg low. Okay, this leg stays low, so it's hard for him to get in this space. Now from here, I want to kick my right leg through to strip that grip. If I hook the far side of his ribs, extend my leg, it will start to stretch his arm out. Okay, sorry, I submitted him there, but often the hand will just slip through. Okay, it can actually put pressure on the shoulder if you look from the side. So turn your head this way. So as he reaches under the leg, I move my hips away so I have space to pummel my leg through. Okay, I can't do it when I'm facing up, I can't get the leg through, but when I use my K-guard hook to move out, I can pummel through, lift my hips, thread to the far shoulder, and then extend. His arm will clear or his shoulder gets caught. Right, so defending against footlocks. Okay, we'll first go from kneeling and then we can talk about standing. Now, really, you should have your other leg ready to kick. Okay, so for example, if we go back, this is if I'm putting my right leg across the hip here, I should have my other leg ready to kick against that. If I can kick the chest, or even better, down near the hips, it stops Mish being able to put his hips into the footlock. Okay, so he's not going to be able to finish that. And I can really turn either way. I could turn down to free my leg, or I could kick and twist this way to free my leg as well. Okay, so if they go for the footlock, just get your other foot in contact to attack, right? Obviously, if we get through deep enough here, he doesn't really have enough purchase to be able to, I'll turn my foot all the way the other way. There's no danger of a straight ankle lock. We talked about this a little earlier, but obviously my knee line is low and below the line of Mish's knee. So I can't really have this leg attack unless I do something silly and lift my knee line above the line of his hips where he could attack a heel hook or some sort of leg lock. But that shouldn't happen. I'm always keeping my knee underneath and he's trying to lift that up. I just jam it underneath the leg. He can't do that. A lot of times people will attack our free leg, right? Here, I've got my K-guard leg ready to step on the hip. So I'm here, Mish starts to attack this, I just step on the hip here. There's no way he's going to be able to apply enough pressure to stop me from push-pull and freeing my leg, potentially twisting and continuing my attack from there. Okay. So you should, as long as you step this foot into the hips here, you don't really have to worry about that. It's the same for a toe hold. Okay, some people will try to toe hold this leg. Okay, just push pull. Right, there's no way if I keep his hips away that he's actually going to be able to get anything with that toe hold. All right, so just always have your K-guard leg ready to step on the stomach near the hips. Countering crab ride entries as we go to enter, often our opponent looks for some sort of invert or crab ride entry. So obviously you're dealing with a more advanced opponent if they're doing this, but you need to be ready to face an advanced opponent. Okay. So the two main ways Mish might do it is he might jam his knee in this gap, reach underneath my leg, and now he can start to come up in something like a leg drag or a crab ride. Okay. So I want to be able to block that one. Or he might step his foot through into this gap and then fall and pummel into crab ride. Okay. So one thing you'll notice with these is in both cases, Mish was able to get his arm underneath my free leg here. Okay. I had space here for him to pummel this. Right. So with now, if he steps that foot through and he gets that, he's now got a hold of my hips and he's got crab ride. Okay. If he drops his knee in and he gets underneath this leg, he's got the leg drag or potentially a crab ride entry. Right? If you deny them control of this leg, they're going to really struggle to get these injuries. That's why I'm talking a lot about pummeling this leg and not swinging it wide. If I do this for my entries, I'm giving so many opportunities for him to counter me. Right? If instead I'm pummeling to here, now if you drop your knee in, okay, full. Okay. He doesn't really have good positioning because my foot's on the outside. Okay. You might be looking, thinking he's going to go for a heel hook. That's not going to work. My foot's in the stomach, and I can start to get his leg across my body. Okay. So generally, once you fall, look to take, just to win the initial battle of the scramble, look to take the leg that you had K-guard on across your body. Okay. Now I'm winning this battle. Wherever he goes, he can't really have my back if his leg is across the body. So if he starts getting back up, if I lose that battle and he gets up, I've got my 70-30 position. Okay. I can come up and get into something like a leg drag, or from here I can stay down, or from here I can be looking to attack heel hooks or my own back take attempts as well. Okay, so look to take the leg across. Let's just look at that again. So if I pummel well, he probably won't even go for it. Let's say he does win the pummel. Okay, and go from here. Since if you can manage to get the leg across your body and grip onto it, then it's very hard for him to continue and progress, and I'll probably actually start to win the battle here for control and position. All right. I should say, sometimes, for example, in that scenario where I lost the battle for my right leg, which falls, sometimes it's too far to pull it across, and you might have to go near side first. Okay. So this is often a good first control, but I want to be using my hook to feed it across eventually. Now I feel safe. I feel like he's not going to have any immediate attacks on me. Now I can start to attack and counter-attack against Mish. If Mish were to step inside, but I pummel my foot, see how I pummel my leg to the inside instead of his arm. Go back. So his arm under my leg, this is no good. If my foot's on the inside here, then I'm starting to win this battle again. Okay. So from here, I can be using that to start to attack and get ahead of these sort of scrambles towards the back. Right? If you allow them underneath this leg, this is going to give you some real problems. Okay? So when I'm going for K-guard, I don't allow this. All right, go back. I want to be actively pummeling inside. Okay, if he's looking to do that now, pummeling inside the arm and in front of the armpit here. Then try to put your foot in. It's not such a good position for Mish to get. I can look to counter against that.
Alright, so going through offense now, and first just looking at some different ways of getting the knee up onto the stomach, or at least some live examples of that. So in this one, see the knee's already almost in position, but I think I actually kick back, or actually that kind of extension through this left leg, pushing away, making more distance with the hips as I pull the hands up, should get the knee up. Okay, and actually I feed the leg across, and it actually ends up in a De La Riva scenario, which is okay, not the ideal scenario, but looking at that again, gripping the leg and making sure I extend the hips up and away with my leg as I pull with my hands. There we go, with the knee locked in behind the hips being very important as we do this. Another one, this time against someone who's keeping their weight back, and even just pummeling the leg and making them as they're trying to hold onto the leg. Often this leg I'm gripping onto becomes light, and I'm able to kind of use a slight off balance to get the knee up. So working very hard with the hands, and obviously that outside foot assisting as well. This was a good example of, you can see how much the top leg can assist as well by pushing on the weight. So having that foot tucked into the armpit, pushing with that leg, and then making enough distance with that I can actually start pulling the knee now up onto my chest where I want. Okay, and this is obviously into a 50-50 entry. I think this is a good one to illustrate that you want to get pressure on the hips. So here, Sean's a good black belt, he's popped his hips forward, and it's very hard for me to use my left leg now to generate that pressure on the hips I want. So I'm going to take my right leg and step on this hip to help generate pressure. So you see, I'll step on his hip and or stomach and pushing away with that, and you'll see how that lifts the knee. There we go. Okay, so by pushing, that's lifted the knee, and we ended up in a bit of a scramble there. And another person I was rolling with at a seminar who was very good at keeping his hips low, so I had to work quite hard at this one. So you can see that top leg just coming in to assist. I actually push with my knee of that top leg, so kind of working to get my hands together, trying to pummel this right leg in. There we are, and now my knee can assist. There we go, and that just getting those hips up. You can see I'm stepping on the stomach with that inside leg, which you can definitely use to push as well. Okay, and now the knee's up on the stomach. That gives us a chance to set up our attacks we want. just talking about retracting one leg and extending the other. So we're trying to connect to their hips if we can with our legs. So you can see here, it's actually not K-guard. I've got my left leg attached and my right leg peeled back because this one's been peeled off. And now retract this and put this one in. So just the idea of having one leg in and the other one not. So and then I change it up a bit. Good. And then that lets me get in, which we'll talk about a bit later about how to get into attack. All right, so we'll look at some actual offense now that we know how to get the knee to the stomach. So to backside 50-50. This is a backside 50-50 entry. My opponent backsteps. We're going to talk a little more about that later. But obviously with the knee turning in, a good time to go towards backside 50-50 is when your opponent's knee faces inwards like that. Okay, they're giving you the backside of their knee available, so it's a good time to shoot your foot through the gap into a 50-50, or really a 90-10 or outside Senkaku positioning there. It's another example where in this one, I guess the low hips and the ability, I could feel I could swing my leg up, and there's I could see this gap between the hips and the foot. I could chop my leg through. So again, if you can see that window towards the back, if you can just sense that that's available, you should be, or you definitely have the option to scoot your foot through. And now I'm in the 50-50 or backside 50-50 position now. Now look at when you lose the knee from backside 50-50, and actually there's a few things you can do. I don't have footage on this of where I try to regain the knee line. You can check the ADCC match with Muhammad Ali, for example, for how I do that. But you've also got the option to go to crab right. So you can see the knee's lost. I was actually kind of feeding it because I wanted to work this, but I can pummel my leg behind the shin here. So I want to work behind this shin. So you'll see my knee go behind that shin in a moment. There we go. As I retract my leg, and this gives me the crab ride position. Alright, so let's now look at the actual when our opponent back. So as we go to backside 50-50, they keep backstepping. Okay. And I talked about this, but following with my knee free. So it's really important. I mean, you could try to end up in 50-50 in this scenario. You could just feed your leg through and consolidate 50-50, but it's better if you actually keep. So you see my left leg, it's basically in front of the stomach. Because I know he's backstepping, I'm going to keep my foot in the stomach and my knee is well clear. So I've got his knee trapped and my knee is free. See that? So my knee's free, his is trapped, and I can reap across, and this puts us in that 90-10 outside Senkaku position. So just following and keeping your knee free and retracting and turning with them being really important. All right, another offensive option, going K-guard to X-guard. So we're looking at this same clip again, but now you'll see I'm going to take my right leg and shoot it to the calf to get my hips from one side. So you can see my hips are out to the left of my opponent. I want to get them to the right of my opponent. And I also want to face from my right to my left. So everything's going to switch over. So I'm going to chop the back of the calf in a moment, as I realize it's hard to get back into the. So this is really because it was hard to get access to the hips. He's blocking that. Okay, I'm going to go underneath to the leg. So I'm going to chop the back of the calf, and I bring my hips. See, my hips now facing on this side, well, as much as I can, on this side of David, and I'm facing my left now. And this should be able to knock his hands down towards the mat. There we are. Well, we cut off beforehand, but all right. 70-30 entries. Well, I'm going K-guard, and Steve's actually sat down. I end up doing like a 50-50 entry on this other leg, okay? But you can see I fed the leg across just like I would when I'm going towards 70-30, and then I think Steve pummels his right foot in here, and I end up taking this right leg. So he's put that in, and I actually pull that through. So now you can see we've got this kind of leg entanglement here. All right, another one. So knees on the stomach, I'm reaching to the foot. It looks like I'll be taking that across body. Yeah, okay. And a lot of the time when that happens, they retract their foot. We'll talk about that a bit later. It does give us a chance to berimbolo. This is a K-guard entry off retention. There we go. And actually the leg just comes across. He actually steps it over into the 70-30 position, which basically becomes like 70-30 all the way on this side, right? I'll have a look at some shallow K-guard now, in terms of offense. So, again, I have the option from shallow K to go back in towards... I got three options, really. I can try to turn the knee inwards and chop through to backside 50-50, which is actually what I try to do here, but I don't think it was the best option. Sometimes you can roll all the way through and get into 70-30 like we did from a standing backside 50-50 entry. That's definitely an option. You could potentially shoot your leg back up into a regular K-guard, or you could actually chop back into X-guard like we talked about earlier. So here I try to shoot over the gap, but David turns his knee out. This is not the best position to be in now. There's a chance I could actually get countered here. But I managed to keep, what I've managed to do well is take my left leg across the hip. So as I shoot my right leg over, watch this left leg, it comes across the hip, and that will actually set me up to roll back under to K-guard. So I bail on this because I see that this could be a threatening position. I roll back, and because this one's across the hip, my left leg, it comes into actually a K-guard, a regular K-guard entry. So I've kind of deepened the position. Here's a shallow K-guard entry. So we talk about the entry a lot more in the De La Riva section because it's really off De La Riva. It's a De La Riva move to enter here. So I've basically done everything you need to do for the entry, but I don't actually go into shallow K. I actually just shoot to a leg entanglement, which again I probably wouldn't recommend this. This is a potential for a counter. So we can... I mean, I do manage to get onto the leg and get into a leg entanglement, but that wasn't ideal. Here's a good actual 50-50 or backside 50-50 entry from it, I believe. So we'll just pass to there. So I get my hips out. I get the shallow K. I try to get the shallow K position. There we go. Okay, so from here, now I have good positioning. So my foot's going to turn the knee inwards and my grip is really holding on. So can you see how I'm ready for my opponent Lockie to try to run? I'm really tight. Look at this, how tight I'm pulling in. So if he tried to pull and run, it'd be very difficult. You can see how much I'm pulling my forearm towards my chest here, locking that foot in so it couldn't disengage, okay? And ideally my foot's a bit higher up, but he's actually pushed my foot down so it's a bit lower than the knee line. And then I can chop behind. And because of my grip, even though the knee's free, it's going to be hard to run because I've got such a tight grip on the leg. Okay, now I can kick my left leg out. I should be able to... Oh, yes, he stands up. Okay, so I go back to just a 50-50 entry. Okay. All right, just quickly, we'll talk about something we did in the troubleshooting section. So if you lose the leg, you pass the leg across from K-guard, you lose it. It's actually, you basically got De La Riva and you're halfway through the berimbolo. So we're now at stage 3 or phase 3 of our berimbolo that we cover in the De La Riva series. The hips are on the mat and we can attack. Now here I managed to pull the leg back across, so I kind of lost the leg. I scoot in and I pull it back across and caught the heel in one action. And there's another example here. So I go to pass the leg across and it ends up between my legs, and that's actually okay. We can go straight into the bowler. See, I feed it to my left hand, my right hand goes behind the shoulder, and I can roll my hips through, and there we are. Hips come in and into the bolo wedge. Lastly, defending footlocks. Okay, so we've got two examples. Both are actually from an open guard, so I think I talk about these a little bit in the De La Riva section as well, but got my feet open, so people are going to sit back on your legs, okay? So my opponent sits in at the leg, and you see I've already pummeled my other foot in front of the hip, right? That's going to stop any bridging as we talked about, okay? So my foot's blocking the hip from coming in, and then see his foot disconnect from his hip. This gives me room actually to now change it to a De La Riva hook, which is even stronger. So I'm going to push in front of the hip again, but this time with a De La Riva hook. So over the top's good, but even better if you can come underneath. Okay, there we are. Now I've come underneath. I've got a good access to the berimbolo. Another one here from open guard. My opponent's going to sit in on the leg. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to pummel my left foot, my other leg, in front of the hip. Look at that, okay? Kicking, stomping down right into the hip, stopping any bridging power. I need to now use my hands to clear this leg. Notice it's my right arm, so I can be up on my left and moving my hips. Once I clear his foot, oh, actually he's kind of starting to give up, but okay, now I'm past the line of the foot, so that lets me spin to the... So I kind of feel like he lost some control of that foot, and now I get a chance with my De La Riva hook to spin over. So actually I wasn't even talking about that, but at some point I pummeled from over again. As they're trying to adjust, they often extend, and it lets you go under for De La Riva, okay? And so I've taken my foot out, and this time I've gone under. See that De La Riva hook now, and this is going to really kill it. As long as he can't step on my hip, I can roll through towards a berimbolo, making sure I want to clear this knee line. Alright, so that's it for K-guard offense.